keep your seat warm. I will try. It seems a... Okay, all right. Well,
You want the agenda item form, not the general audience.
I saw that, oh,
No, there's a difference.
okay.
So I brought you.
Oh, it's at the top. I got an agenda. Yes. Oh, my actual shirt's short sleeve and it is cold. No, that's the city attorney's proposal. But the mayor didn't sign it. I didn't see her signature on it at first, but when I got home, I found out. Actually showed me this afternoon. I was a mistake. Highly voted. Oh, that is great. Yeah, maybe I should take that. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I think the election might have woke some of these folks up. Yeah. Yeah, Bev was asking. Because she had forgotten when it was, when and where it was. And so I told her, Saturday. I also told her what was happening here. She was happy to hear. Yeah. Yeah. I only find something after the vote. Yeah, if it's early enough, yeah. Yeah, because I definitely need to get something to
Well, I think we've got 4 votes. I think we've got Angela Logan, maybe more, Lassity, Jonathan Langley, and Neil Moore. Maybe Miss McGee, maybe Miss McGee. But I don't know about Larry Wood. So I think we've got at least 4 votes. 4 votes to go.
yeah. Well, they're going to reevaluate, they're going to end on table, and then they're going to reevaluate what rules they have. Well, what they'll probably do is everybody that had applied for taking meetings last year has been told, or this year has been told, that their permit is only good on a month-to-month basis. So if it passes by then, yes, they're going to cancel it at the end of the month. Yeah.
Take some time to run through this. What's going to happen is the council has 4 days until Friday to change the vote on the issue. Once that gets done, then I go to the mayor's office, and they'll probably have it on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, and later it'll be written up. Probably something like whatever, you guys, maybe, and I think next Friday, I think a week from Friday, how is Jungle County?
Yeah.
That's what I think. Yeah, but remember the shenanigans we were talking about.
Only want to put wallets in the teeth.
Yeah, that's, yeah, that's it.
It's just, I can't remember anything anymore. Hey, how we doing today?
Fine, sir, fine. It was, let's see. Well, they were making money from the takeover. I don't think that was the legislators, but the police station, they would have used to.
No, they wanted originally, they said if they approved it, they wanted $640 a day every day to take over.
Yeah.
And that was just, that was,
Thrown right out.
it is,
That's good then.
yeah, see, nonprofits can, take it for free. They waive, all the remedies for nonprofits. But, individuals, according to the rules, but that rule has been thrown out. In fact, most of the rules have been thrown out for the reason stated.
For the
There's-
prayer people.
Not for the prayer people. They haven't, the rules have been only thrown out for, one of the things said that nothing offensive can be on the table. Now, the prayer table doesn't know what to say how horrible things that there is against Mormons and against Catholics on their table. They don't enforce the rules against the prayer table. They can have, but I harass, that's why, the DEA doesn't like me because every time there's a rule to break, I call and say, does this mean that this rule doesn't apply to the reasons station? But, one of the things the city has, zero say,
Now calling to order a regular meeting of the City Council, Tuesday, October 22nd at 7 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Madam Secretary.
President Rogan-C.
Here.
Vice President McGee.
Here.
Assistant Secretary Mayor Pro Tem Dwyer.
Here.
Mr. Councilman Boyke.
Here.
Councilman Noonan.
Here.
Councilman Lafferty.
Here.
Councilwoman Moore. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Next item?
Next item is adoption of the consent agenda. So moved.
Support Lafferty.
Support Boyke. Any discussion?
Yes, please.
Mr. Noonan?
I'd like to bring item 4C off of the consent agenda and put it on the regular agenda.
Okay.
Okay, makers of the motion, good with that?
Yes.
Any additional discussion? Hearing none, I will call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan?
Yes.
Rogan C is yes. Motion carries. Next item.
Next item, adoption of the agenda. So moved with discussion.
Support Lafferty.
Discussion, Secretary Moore.
Thank you. A few items to add. The first is a public hearing under 11A. Pardon me? Administrative hearing regarding 32-431 how much it's a nuisance abatement. That will be 11A. As 13A, discussion Habitat for Humanity. 13B, discussion regarding status of hiring and appointments. Item 13C, update to Council Rule 24.1. And item 13D will be what was 4C on the consent agenda. And I think that is it. That's it for me.
Clarity, what was the item that was going to be removed, the consent? What was that last one?
4C,
4C. Yes. What was that going to be?
that is 13D.
13D. Thank you.
Any additional discussion? Makers of the motion, good with the adjustments?
Without objection.
Yes.
I will call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan?
Yes.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Rogan
Yes.
C is a yes. Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is calendar pending matters. Motion to receive and file.
So moved, or support and discussion.
Discussion, Mr. Lafferty.
Thank you. I am asking for an update on the ordinance regarding the use of the city seal logos and insignias. I have not received any communications from the city attorney's office. We did indicate that we wanted to have some read back to us as to how the logos are being used and what restrictions we could place. Even a draft of an ordinance revision would be, in its present form, even if it's not ready for consideration, would be appreciated. Thank you.
Mr. Lafferty, I emailed Ms. Michael maybe 2 weeks ago, just as an update on the calendar, and she did respond. I should have forwarded it to Ms. Camp, saying that she, I think next meeting, plans on putting something, so it's somewhat my error that I didn't forward that message on.
Thank you.
Any additional discussion? Hearing none, I will, I guess, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Next item, 7A, approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of October 22nd, 2024. So moved.
Support Dwyer.
Discussion. Hearing none, I will call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan?
Yes.
Rogan C is yes. Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is 7B, approval of the minutes of the special meeting of October 28th, 2024.
Support Lafferty.
Discussion? Hearing none, I will call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan?
Yes.
Rogan C is a yes. Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is 8A, approval of the bills of the general revenue fund. So moved with discussion.
Support Dwyer.
Discussion, Ms. Moore.
Thank you. Check number 672791 for Chase Equipment in the amount of $810,000. Is it $594 or $394, Mary? $594. That check will be released tomorrow, so everybody keep in mind that when you're voting on that, that is going to be released tomorrow.
Any additional discussion? Hearing none, I will call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan?
Yes.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Rogan C is a yes. Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is 8B, approval of the bills of the water and sewer system. So moved.
Support Dwyer.
Discussion, anyone? Hearing none, I'll call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan?
Yes.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Rogan C is a yes. Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is 8C, general fund revenue report, September 2024. Motion to receive and file.
Support Lafferty.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is 8D, general fund expenditure report for September 2024. Motion to receive and file.
Support Dwyer.
Discussion. Anyone? Mr. Fox, I have a question for you.
Richard Fox, City Controller, good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Fox. So, quick question, in reviewing this, it looks like the city is, based on September 30th, seeing a $7 million loss. Am I reading that correctly?
Well, I think we gotta go through the 6 months in order to get a balance, because, you know, some of the revenue doesn't come in exactly as, you know, in the first quarter, second quarter, so, yeah, I think you'll have a better picture once we have a 6 months. So I don't really think we're in a $7 million deficit.
Okay, and then the money that we're later potentially voting on for ARPA, would that essentially balance the 7 million beyond whatever else needs to be recalibrated? Potentially?
Well, it'll definitely assist in the additional revenue, yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Audience participation for agenda items only.
Members of the audience who would like to address the city council this evening may do so by filling out an audience form located at the right side of the stage. As a reminder, per our council rules and procedures, you must write your name and address on the audience form or give your full name and address at the podium. You have 3 minutes. We have a clock that will give you your time and how much remaining time you have. This audience is for agenda items only. There is additional time at the end of the meeting for general audience. First is Chris McLaughlin.
Hello, my name is Chris McLaughlin, and I serve as the State Director for the Secular Alliance of Michigan, an alliance including the Reason Station here in Warren. I'm here tonight in favor of the resolution to suspend rentals of the City Hall atrium. Over 15 years ago, city leadership chose to use public resources to promote a specific evangelical Protestant Christian church, not Islam, Hinduism, Judaism, or any other belief. This was illegal, and the city ultimately paid $100,000 to Doug Marshall, who sued for violating the First Amendment, plus the additional administrative and legal defense costs, all of which came out of taxpayers' pockets. The First Amendment guarantees the Establishment Clause, which was supposed to prevent our government from promoting religion. But decades ago, the Supreme Court chose to interpret this clause as equal access secularism, where governments can support religion as long as all religious groups are treated equally. In theory, this sounds fair. In practice, it's deeply flawed. Corrupt government officials often create ad hoc rules to favor their preferred religious organizations. These rules are intentionally crafted to impose requirements that are difficult for disfavored groups to meet, effectively shutting them out. This kind of favoritism creates a feedback loop where powerful religious organizations help elect officials who in turn give them favorable treatment. As a result, equal access secularism pits religious organizations against each other in a battle for government resources, perpetuating inequalities, and here in the United States, effectively creating a kind of soft Christian nationalism. Whenever disputes arise, it is the government, and by extension the taxpayers, that must foot the bill to support a bureaucracy to adjudicate conflicts. This is exactly what happened here in Warren. A totally unnecessary misuse of taxpayer money and a net loss for the city. There is a better solution: strict secularism. This model is used in many other secular democracies like France, Mexico, and Turkey. Under strict secularism, the government stays completely separate from religion. All religious groups are treated equally because none receive government support. Every group stands on its own, supported only by its community. This creates a true free market of beliefs where religious organizations thrive or fail based on community support, not government handouts. If you don't want the cost and hassle of religious entanglements, practice strict secularism. The next time a priest, bishop, imam, rabbi, or atheist community leader like me asks for some kind of government benefit, I urge you to just say no. It's not my job to promote or hinder religion. This ensures true religious freedom without government picking winners and losers. Thank you to the mayor, her administration, and the council for considering this resolution. I trust that you have the wisdom to pass it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Maggie Huntone.
Good evening. I'm Warren resident Maggie Huntone, and I'm speaking tonight in support of Agenda Item 12B. Thank you, Council and Mayor Stone, for ending the city's rental policy for the City Hall and surroundings. The Reason Station's purpose has always been to protest the presence of the religious tables in the atrium because they violate the principle of the separation of church and state. This has become especially problematic as Warren's population has become more culturally diverse and, in spite of protestations to the contrary, the showcasing of Christianity implies it is honored above other religions. Since the election laws changed so dramatically in 2023, the City Hall has become a polling place during elections, and although neither the religious tables nor the Reason Station display signs or literature supporting any candidate, it's obvious which issues and candidates each of us are likely to support, and it's too close to violating laws prohibiting campaigning within 100 feet of a polling place for comfort. I anticipate and welcome your approval of the resolution to suspend existing rentals and task the DDA with writing new rules to restrict uses of the atrium to events and displays that reflect and protect the city's interests. You've given me a piece of flotsam to cling to in the sea of pain and fear I've been drowning in since the election results were announced on November 6th. Thank you very much.
Next is Doug Marshall.
Greetings. My name is Douglas Marshall, and I have been a resident of the city of Warren for 38 years. I am director of the Reason Station, which presently tables in the Warren City Hall. I am here to endorse Mary Mitchell's resolution suspending Civil Center atrium rentals. The only reason for the existence of the Reason Station is to protest the city allowing religions to proselytize on city property, which is a violation of the First Amendment, prohibiting the government from giving any respect to the establishment of religion. The Reason Station has always just wanted to change the rental policy to limit use of government property to those uses that are secular in nature and purpose. I would like the city to expand the suspension to all city property. The only reason that private organizations want to use city property is to give the impression that the city endorses what the user is promoting, in this case, religion. The city is expressly forbidden to give any respect or endorsement to religion. The only reason the Reason Station exists is to protest the city's violation of the Establishment Clause and to take away any implied respect or endorsement by the city. This year we have found that the use of blasphemy has gotten more attention than previous displays and will continue to use blasphemy as long as religion is on city property. If the rental policy is changed, I would like to request that the city attorney and the DDA to advise me of any changes which would allow private organizations to return to the city hall atrium in a timely manner so that the Reason Station can resume tabling if religions are allowed to return. That would reactivate the federal consent decree. If the mayor, city council, or city attorney want to my input, I would be willing to discuss the Reason Station's position with any of them. My contact info is on the speaker's form. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Lori Harris. Ms. Harris, what agenda item are you discussing?
Excuse me, 14A.
Thank you.
So consideration and adoption of resolutions approving the appropriation of American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA funding. So I was reading through the backup materials, and I'm a little bit confused because I read the letter from Mr. Knapp signed by the mayor, and then the next article or entry is $10 million. Sorry, I lost my page. $10 million for the, oh, shoot. Where'd it go? $10 million was for the salaries of police officers and firefighters. Now, when I went through all the other items, all the other papers provided or pages provided, $10 million for the reimbursement of public safety costs. I don't remember you guys deciding this. And we have money in the budget for police officers and firefighters right now. So why would we be taking $10 million to reimburse for public safety costs? Because we have that money already budgeted. And there are no other backup articles in this e-packet about that particular item. There's $1,800,000 for sidewalk repair. There's $1 million for infrastructure replacements. There was money for the library, money for Helmich Park, money for Wiegand Park splash pad. Those I remember being approved. I don't remember 10 million being approved. And we've already spent a lot of money on water, how much time? Water main issues, I believe, to the tune right now of $14 million. So we got $27 million. So the numbers don't add up, in my opinion. I haven't sat down and add them all up, and maybe there's input. Somebody smart and financially more adept than me can help explain this, but I'm really concerned about this. We have a lot of things we need to do in the city, and there's not enough information in these documents, I think, for you to decide that. And, okay, so thank you very much.
Thank you. Next is Joel Vanderlinden.
Joel Valen, longtime Warren resident. I'm up here for the issues about the DDA that's on the agenda. To my understanding, we're transferring money from last year's budget onto this year's budget for the DDA, which brings up many questions. Last year, the DDA had no budget. The council gave them zero money. Last year, we had an investigation done on Mayor Jim Fouts, where he spent an estimated $700,000 of DDA money, and we still haven't heard the end of that. Is Fowles going to pay back that $700,000? What money are we transferring over if there's no budget given to the DDA last year, and Fouts hasn't paid back that $500,000? There should be nothing to transfer over. Now, jumping on what Miss Harrison said about the police and the $10 million, don't we have 3 millages for police officers? And yet we're still, what, 20, 30, 40 short? What's this administration doing about the shortage of police officers? And now you're spending more money towards positions that no one's filling. Someone needs to do an audit on the mayor. Thank you. Have a blessed day.
Thank you. That is the end of audience for agenda items. Next item, Madam Secretary.
Next item, announcements, Madam Chair.
Madam Secretary.
Thank you. Today, we honor and celebrate the retirement of 9/11 Dispatch Supervisor Ryan Fessenden, a dedicated City of Warren first responder who has served with unwavering commitment and courage. For 25 years, he has been the reassuring voice on the other end of the line during our residents' most critical moments. Ryan has helped save lives, ensured our community's safety, and provided guidance and calm in times of distress. We are immensely grateful for his dedication, professionalism, and compassion, which have left a lasting impact on our city and everyone he has served. The work you've done will never be forgotten, and our community is stronger and safer because of you. On behalf of the City Council and the citizens of Warren, we extend our heartfelt thanks and wish you all the best as you embark on this new chapter. Thank you for your remarkable service. And I will be speaking later on the agenda of what his retirement means in the scheme of things. Thank you.
Any additional announcements?
Madam Chair,
Mr. Boyke.
just recently I read in the Macomb Daily that MDOT has issued a travel advisory for anyone traveling Van Dyke between 13 and 14 mile, Wednesday to Saturday mid-afternoon. There'll be one lane of traffic each way. I could only imagine the amount of backups we're gonna have on Van Dyke, along with the other south and north and south streets like Mound and Hoover. So just be, for the residents that don't read the Macomb Daily, just advising them that heads up about it. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Boyke. Any additional announcements? Hearing none, next item.
Next item is 11A, which is an administrative hearing regarding resolution for 32431 Howmich House and Garage nuisance abatement.
Mr. Lizay. Mary, do I need a motion and support in advance of? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Lizay.
So I guess we have a proposed buyer for this house at 32431 Howmich. It had been previously declared a public nuisance, but I believe this gentleman next to me right here has reached out to the owner, would like to purchase the property to rehabilitate the property. This house is definitely needs immediate attention. I went by there today. I noticed there is a tax foreclosure notice on there as well. I believe the hearing starts next year for tax foreclosure with the county, but this house is fixable, and obviously I believe this gentleman next to me, we had a discussion earlier when he came in that he would like to purchase the property and rehab the house. But my main concern with these properties, as always, is funding, resources. Timeline is crucial. We stick to a timeline, and we have licensed contractors in line, ready to go on this and move appropriately. I'd like to see this move quickly and not just buy it and sit on it. We got to stick to a timeline, and we've already had that discussion.
And are you comfortable with the timeline, Mr. Lizay?
Pardon me?
Are you comfortable with the timeline?
Well, I have, Darius, we can discuss. We haven't discussed an exact timeline. I'd like him to propose that to you, present that to his timeline and what he plans on doing. But I do want to stick to it. I'd like to get a proposed timeline. I want to make sure We got the resources, we got the funding, and we need to act quickly on this house because it's getting worse.
And you're the petitioner, sir?
Go ahead.
Yes, I'm the petitioner. And yes, I have established a estimate of repairs that I brought with me, as well as the purchase agreement that I've established with the seller. And also I have an inspection report. So I have all of those here with me today. And the timeline that we want to ask for to repair the home and make sure that it's removed from the nuisance abatement list, we want at least 6 months. And within that 6 months, we can bring the house back to code according to city standards and make sure that it's placed back on the market. I'm also a real estate agent with the Monzo Group, Keller Williams, and this is what we rehab and redevelop homes in our cities like Warren and other cities in Macomb County. So our whole purpose is to come in, rehab the home, renovate, fix it up, and then bring it back to the market for a family that wants to live there permanently.
Can you give us your name for the record?
I'm Tadario James.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I will turn it over to council for action.
Motion to approve with discussion.
Discussion. I need a support first before.
Support Dwyer.
Support Dwyer. Discussion, Mr. Lafferty.
Thank you. Through the chair to Mr. Lezay, start with you. When we talked about this back in September, you had not yet been in the home. Have you or has Mr. James been inside the home since then?
I believe Mr. James has. I've kind of looked into the windows and kind of seen what's going on in there. Obviously, what we'll start with is get our city certification, so we get all our inspectors, all 5 inspectors in there to inspect the home, to create 5 violation lists, and that'll basically give a cheat sheet to Mr. James, I'm sorry, to move forward with, to go off of. Basically, he'll get acquired first, if it is to be removed, and to give him an opportunity to rehab the house. We get our city certification, we all get in there, give him a list, basically gives him something to go off of. I imagine you already know what you're in for when you get into this house. It's been vacant for 10 years, so I think 6 months is definitely reasonable timeline on that. I agree with that. I'm good with that. But because this definitely needs some immediate attention. It's going to take some time to get this house in order. Exterior only, what I've seen.
All right. Mr. Lezay, you've answered my next 63 questions. With that, I appreciate that. Mr. James, you have a signed purchase agreement?
Yes, I do.
So you are the current owner of the home?
Not the current owner of the home, but I'm in the purchase agreement with the current owner of the home.
With the current owner?
Yes.
And so all of the necessary financials are in place to rehab this home as you have proposed?
Yes, they are.
All right. As we discussed back in September, that this home has been an issue in that neighborhood for 2 decades, and so it's wonderful to see. This is a success story right here of being able to turn a house around like this, but within scope. We're going to have to make sure that you adhere to all of the guidelines that are established according to the building department. You obtain all of the certs, the inspections, everything is on the up and up, everything's brought up to code. Have you been in the home? Has the homeowner been in the home since this took place?
Yes, we have.
So and my questions a few months back were about the bones, the basement. It's a solid foundation. It's not in a complete state of disrepair.
Yeah, so I had an inspector go out. I actually have the inspection report in my hand here, and the inspectors checked the foundation of the home. They checked the mechanicals. They checked the electrical. They checked all of the structural soundness of the home, and they ensured that the home was not in damnable condition to where it had to be condemned. It could be saved.
All right, that's the assurance that I was looking for, and so I'm more than supportive of a 6-month stay of action by the council. I would propose If everything is met to satisfaction of the building department, that we fully release this on Tuesday, May 27th. And- Yes. So what I'm proposing is that we suspend the action of council, which authorized the city of Warren to demolish the home as stated on September 10th, for a period of 6 months, provided that all certs are obtained, the inspections are good, they're making significant marked progress, and then we can take this completely out. But I want to have the assurance at the end of this process that this isn't going to go sideways.
Madam Chair?
Ms. Moore?
I would add, if some problems arise, that Mr. Lezay bring that back earlier if you need us to take action.
Right.
Just
Well,
if-
my main thing is, I'd like to see this home continually be maintained, like we always want. During this process, we want the snow shovel, we want the grass cut, we want the yard kept, we don't want it to be a nuisance anymore. When we drive by, our local, our property maintenance guys drive by, I want them looking at this house. I want them to see this house is kept during construction and kept tight.
Well,
and
bring it
mowed
back,
and
bring it back
cleaned.
to us if there's a problem,
Right.
and we'll approve the demolition if it's not maintained.
Right. But I'd like to see, I mean, after discussion, I'm hoping that immediate action is taken, we start moving forward on this house, because it's sat long enough.
That's what we want.
And do we have a date? Did you say when we were gonna reconvene on this?
May.
Yeah, May
May
27th, 2025.
Any additional discussion? Hearing none, I will clarify the motion is May 27th, suspending, Mr. Vanderlyn, there is not audience for this hearing. It's an administrative hearing. Please don't yell from the audience, please. We're taking it out of suspending the nuisance action until May 27th, 2024.
That's correct.
Okay. We'll call the question. Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan?
Yes.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Rogan C. is a yes. Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is 12A, request of Lori Barnwell, City Treasurer, to open 2 money market accounts with Independent Bank entitled 1, City of Warren Capital Equipment Bond Series 2024, and 2, City of Warren Water and Sewer Capital Improvement Bond Series 2024. So moved.
Support Lafferty.
Discussion. Hearing none, I'll call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan?
Yes.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Rogan C. is a yes. Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is 12B, consideration and adoption of a resolution authorizing the suspension of Civic Center atrium rentals pending completion of DDA review and revision of rules and policies on atrium use and rentals. So moved.
Support Lafferty with discussion.
Discussion, Mr. Lafferty.
Thank you. Through the chair to Ms. Michaels, please. And for council, I went through the resolution. I had several concerns with the content or the way in which it was written, and there were a couple of items that did not reflect the committee of the whole that we had, that indicated a lot of our concerns that we summarized at a subsequent council meeting. And so I'd like to make several changes. On the first page, in the second to last paragraph, the DDA has opened the atrium to third parties for meetings, rentals, occasion photos, or catered events. I'd like to have that stricken. And then specific genres of users replaced with various uses. The following paragraph, over the years, the rental policies have inadvertently expanded the purposes. It is not the rental purposes that have done so, but it is the failure to follow established rental policies, including insufficient controls in process and procedure. The next sentence, expanded use of the atrium often interfere with governmental uses and the public's use of the atrium for purposes incidental to government business. I'd like to strike that sentence, that paragraph. Ms. Michaels, the next paragraph indicates the council seeks to have the atrium reserved for city affairs. I don't ever recall that being a request of city council.
If I may, when this was first discussed, it was intended to be collaborative between the council and the mayor. So that's an opening paragraph for council to at least, I don't mean to speak for council, but at least address what was council's intent and then join the mayor in seeking.
I think the resolution goes beyond what the intent is. This resolution is far too colorful for its purpose. And so, the city seeks, the city, capital C, speaks to all government, seeks to have the atrium reserved for city affairs and to avoid uses that expand and so on. If the next paragraph, the mayor joins council in pursuit of clarity in the use of the atrium and protect the character and nature of the area, does not require council to approve such a statement. If the mayor wants to make a statement or publicly declare, she can issue her own resolution. It does not need to be in a council resolution that, we're recognizing her intent.
I understand. If I may, through the chair.
Yes.
This was intended to be a joint resolution, a unified position between the council and the mayor. So I apologize if you take offense to the way it's framed, but that was the intent.
Oh, no offense, no offense. I'm not trying to be overly critical, but like I said, the language is far too subjective. And we have in the final statements in the resolution, the city council and mayor seek to. That's a joint resolution. That in and of itself makes this a joint resolution. I just don't think we need to, attribute certain tenets to either the council and or the mayor for any particular purpose other than to state it. The following paragraph, council acknowledges that meeting rooms that are enclosed and separate from the atrium or public are not subject to this resolution. I'd like to end the paragraph there and strike, provided the public is not exposed to any viewpoint messages. If we are going to, and this is where the clarity that I require, we have the prayer station and we have the reason station. Is the intent of this resolution to remove the prayer station and the reason station after our letter of resolution is transmitted to the city on Friday?
That is correct, yes.
So I am not seeing where that is in the last paragraph. It says it's further resolved that no rental applications shall be accepted, processed, or renewed for purposes unrelated to city use or activities. Are the prayer station and reason station up for renewal at this time?
I believe they're month to month at this point. Their rental applications were not approved because the DDA was formulating new policies.
Okay.
So there's no renewal. And this resolution is not intended to target any particular use.
Understood.
It's to keep the atrium generic and free from.
I completely get that. But we do have two authorities that are presently using the City Hall atrium, okay? And so I want to make sure that we're saying what we mean and meaning what we say. And so if that's the case, then that addresses that first question. But we also, what's missing here is a time frame. There is no time frame. This would read to me like an infinite moratorium. And that is one of the largest issues I have with this. I would agree that Ms. Moore is holding up the number 6. I would agree that 6 months from today would be a sufficient time period to enable your office to finish their work on the DDA policies governing the use of the Civic Center inside the building and Parks and Recreation's governance over City Square. Do you
That is
agree with
reasonable.
that?
Absolutely, that's reasonable.
Okay, so in the second to last paragraph, therefore it is resolved that pending completion of the new rental policies and procedure, the city council and mayor seek to improve controls and policy governing the atrium, striking to exercise complete control. And then the final paragraph, it is further resolved that no rental application shall be accepted, processed, or renewed for purposes unrelated to city use or activities until, and we'll just recite that date, until May 27th, 2025, pending new DDA rental rules and policies, and measures are authorized to terminate any pending rental agreements. So those are my proposed changes. The other question I had was, how many agreements are currently pending? Not the reason station and the prayer stations, but how many other agreements would we be affecting by implementing this moratorium?
For the atrium, I was told none.
Okay.
There are no pending agreements for the meeting rooms. Sometimes businesses like to use the meeting rooms for seminars.
Well, those are excluded.
Correct.
According to the
yes,
language.
Correct.
All right. So we're not excluding any use of civic groups coming in, holding a meeting in the baseline room or the first floor room, anything like that?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Those are my questions and suggested amendments to the resolution.
Madam Chair.
I'll yield.
Ms. Moore?
I agree with your amendments, and I would like to say, Ms. Michaels, there have been a couple things that have been sent to council that don't look like legal documents. There's, the mayor joins council in pursuit of clarity. I mean, that's not how our ordinance should be written. We are doing something by a resolution. It just should state what we are doing and what the effect of it is, not how we got there and not feelings and all that, what we're seeking to do. It's what we're doing. And this is out of character to come from the legal department, if that's where it came. So I would just wish we would stick to legalese and not this fluff stuff that I don't know why it's in here, quite frankly. So that's all I've got to say about that. I agree with you, Mr. Lafferty, about your comments.
Any additional discussion?
Madam Chair?
Mr. Boyke?
I agree with you, Councilman Lafferty, on your amendments. I have a question for Ms. Michaels. You said that this was to be presented as a joint resolution. Can you tell me, did you have any contact with any council members regarding this?
Mr. Vanderlinden, please. It's disruptive.
I mean,
Yes.
you're saying it's a joint.
Yes.
This is the first I've seen it. So you have some meetings?
It was brought up in an informal discussion.
Okay. Was this reviewed by those council people?
Reviewed.
The resolution, before it was presented?
I can't speak to whether it was
All right.
reviewed.
Well, I agree that the council has to be aware of that. The question of clarity is between the administration and Mr. Bomarito in charge of DDA, because after reviewing the applications, Mr. Bomarito is the one that signs off on it, and he's also the one that waives the fees. And he would not answer my question if anybody else could waive the fees, all right? So I think the issue really is between the DDA and administration as far as setting new rules, and not the council. And that's how I feel about it. I mean, when I read that, council acknowledges this, the council acknowledges that. That's not what we talked about in our meeting of a whole. We agreed that it had to be rewritten, but we didn't agree to the language, resolution. It's almost like you're setting a policy here. Go ahead, you can answer it.
If I may.
I'm done.
That's all preamble language just to lay a foundation for the ultimate decision. And it was my just understanding of speaking to certain council members that we needed firm policy. And things have been great in the past, obviously. There's been a momentum to try and add some certainty and avoid any arbitrary decision-making. And I believe that was the intent, well, the will of council and the will of the administration.
Okay, and then as Mr. Lafferty, Councilman Lafferty suggested, the paragraph that the pending completion of the new rental policy or procedure, the city council and mayor seek to exercise complete control. So explain that.
If I may, government control, so to use it as a government designated space in the interim until there are new policies, and if those policies are acceptable. What we want to do is frame a constitutional policy for the use of the atrium to make sure that everybody's treated uniformly, and in the meantime, reserve the atrium for its original intent, which would be as a government space.
So you're not saying that the council would not receive an application for approval?
Councilman,
even though
I'm
we
not
have
saying
complete
that.
control?
No, I'm not saying that. What I meant by complete control is the government. It would be for
Okay.
government use. In the interim, during the 6-month period, it would be a government designated forum.
All right, thank you.
Okay?
Madam Chair- Madam Chair.
Ms. Moore?
Ms. Michaels, your comment about it being a preamble, I think those sort of statements are appropriate for an executive summary that comes over with an ordinance that we've seen. I mean, a couple months ago, something came from the legal department, and an attorney said they thought it was important that we all agree on something, and that was so inappropriate to make those sort of comments about what council should be doing so I have a problem with all this language, and I don't think the intent is, I think we probably agree on what the ultimate intent is, but I don't think it's necessary, the way this is written, like I don't know, it's just not.
Any other discussion? So the makers of the motion support Mr. Lafferty's amendments.
Yes.
Hearing no additional discussion, I will call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan?
Yes.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Rogan C. is a yes. Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is 13A, discussion in regard to Habitat for Humanity. Motion to approve with discussion.
Support.
Discussion, Ms. Moore.
Thank you. I just put this on the agenda because, as I'm sure everybody's aware, Habitat is planning to leave Warren. They had a facility in Warren. I don't know what all went into moving them from one location to another. I would like all of the legal documentation surrounding that transaction. If the Habitat was given anything from the DDA, any sort of consideration, all legal documents concerning anything to do with Habitat for Humanity moving from one site to the other, and anything to do with that property they're in right now, what sort of recitals are in the documents or requirements, things that they're barred from doing. There were certain things in the paper they say they're going to do, but I want to make sure they're allowed to do what they say they're going to do. So I would like to request just the documentation that the city has regarding anything to do with Habitat for Humanity in that regard.
Any additional discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan?
Yes.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Rogan C. is a yes. Motion carries. Next item.
Next item, 13B, discussion regarding status of hiring and appointments. So moved with discussion.
Support Lafferty.
Discussion more.
Thank you. So with the retirement of Ryan today, we're down 9 dispatchers. That's a bad situation to be in. That also can impact the police department because there have been times, I don't know the number or how often, but police officers have had to go and fill in for dispatchers when we're short on dispatchers. We're already short on police officers. We are down 21 police officers. Now, we have some good candidates, I understand, around 6 maybe, 6 or 7 that are in the wings.
Correct.
7 that are in the wings. And if we're not speeding up the process of hiring them and getting them through, and I understand they're good candidates, we're gonna lose them. So whatever the administration, the HR department needs to do, you need to speed it up because we need to fill those positions. We're getting into a dangerous situation when we're down that many police officers. I'm concerned about not having an HR director. I have received some applications that were sent to the city. There was a fabulous applicant that wasn't even called or interviewed. I was shocked. I called around, got some references. They said this woman is smart as a whip. She's hired police commissioners, negotiated contracts. She wasn't even given a call. I'm not understanding what's going on in this whole hiring process. We are coming up now on a year. We took office the 20th of November. We were sworn in, and the election was earlier in, what was 5th or 6th or 7th of November. The transition period is over. Transition period should last no more than 90 days. Here we are a year later, and we have so many positions that there are not permanent people appointed. We have acting. There is no provision for acting under the charter, and that's got to come to an end. And we need to make those appointments, and we're going to seriously consider whether anything that comes to this council that's not coming from a permanently appointed person that's come to council, whether we're going to accept any of those items. I have another concern that I looked at a copy of the posting for the city attorney. I was shocked when I looked at it. Probably the only people I know that aren't retired that are qualified for this position is Ms. Michaels and maybe Mark Liss. But one of the things that says in here that got me off guard was that it says the city attorney is appointed by, serves at the pleasure of, and reports directly to the mayor. That is totally contrary to the charter. The city attorney does not report to the mayor. The city attorney reports to the city council and advises other officers, including the mayor, including the treasurer, including the clerk, and boards, in writing in matters relating to their official duties when so requested by them. That it is not the mayor that runs the city attorney. That's not the way this works. One of the other requirements for this job is a minimum of 15 years of extensive experience practicing law, including 10 years of municipal experience. That is very restrictive. It's no wonder nobody is applying because the charter says you report to the council, and this posting is saying you report to the mayor. Who's going to apply to a job you don't know who you report to? It's very concerning. It says here, another place, the Department of Law and shall be responsible to the city council, the mayor, and all city departments. That's not true. The city attorney is not responsible to the mayor and all city departments. They're only responsible to the city council. The city attorney has an obligation to advise all departments in the city, all officials, all elected officials, all officers. But the reporting duty is to city council. So this, I don't know who wrote this job posting, but it's wrong. It's against the charter, and it needs to be amended. And I would hope that somebody starts looking at the applications that are coming in, because I don't think they're being vetted very well. 'Cause I've got other people in the city sending me applications that they know people applied for jobs and nobody's calling them. But we do a worldwide search for a police commissioner, and we have all these applications coming in, and we're not even giving people a call. Makes no sense to me whatsoever. So I just hope that we're gonna speed up so we can get some police officers hired. We're only gonna have more retirement. Mr. Boyke knows something happened today that could spur some people to retire early, or maybe not early, but depending on what happens in another vote. So get on the stick, people. Thank you.
Motion to receive and file. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is 13C, which is an amendment to Council Rule 24.1. Motion to approve with discussion. I'll read it.
Support Lafferty.
Discussion, Ms. Moore.
Thank you. We are constantly asking boards and commissions in the city to look at their rules, look at the ordinances, to make sure they're in compliance, updating things as necessary. We get ordinances. Recently, the mayor asked to have the Commission on Disabilities ordinance updated to add more members. So, you know, we're constantly looking at that. Council does the same thing. So we have a revision to make to our council rules regarding audience participation. I'd like to read that, if I may. Members of the public must refrain from speaking longer than the allotted time, using sexually explicit language, using profane language that disrupts, disturbs, or impedes the orderly conduct of a council meeting, engaging in obscene conduct, gestures, or comments that disrupt, disturb, or impede the orderly conduct of a council meeting, engaging in loud and boisterous behavior that disrupts, disturbs, or impedes the orderly conduct of a council meeting, making defamatory statements about another person, using epithets or threats directed toward another person that have a tendency to incite an ordinary person to violent, retaliatory action, or engaging in other behavior that disrupts, disturbs, or impedes the orderly conduct of a council meeting. Interruption of speakers or council proceedings will not be tolerated. Anyone who interrupts a speaker or the council proceedings will be removed from the meeting. And this is, we had a closed session and a discussion with our attorney to discuss a legal memo that was issued to council, and this is the product of that. Thank you.
Any additional discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan?
Yes.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Rogan C is a yes. Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is 13D. It should have been 14H because it is on correspondence from the mayor, but we have it here. It was item number 4C on the consent agenda, which is request of the Department of Public Works to award bid ITBW 1336 for miscellaneous tree pruning be awarded to CHOP for a one-year period with an option to extend the award for 2 additional one-year periods in an annual amount not to exceed $84,800. Consideration and adoption of a resolution. So moved.
Support with discussion.
Discussion, Mr. Noonan.
Thank you. Yes, thank you so much for coming up to the mic.
Hello, Council. Scott Riedel, Superintendent DPW. I guess this is my wheelhouse.
Through the president to you. This sounds like a great program. I've had many constituents telling me about trees that were over 50 years old. They were very concerned we're going to do property damage or personal damage to people. And so you're talking about the possibility of the city pruning 500 trees a year?
Yep. Yes, sir.
And they would have to have a qualified individual for that. What kind of qualifications do they have
They
there?
need to have a certified arborist on staff.
Excellent.
Yes, sir.
And so what would citizens need to do in order to request that kind of service if they thought that their trees needed it?
All they have to do is call DPW, and one of the foremen will go out and take a look at it, and then we'll put it on the list for the contractor to go out and get it trimmed up.
That is really excellent. I'm so glad that this is on the agenda.
This isn't new. This is just, went out for bid.
Okay.
The prior contractor, their bid was up, and this is just a new bid, and someone else won the bid for it.
Okay, so, and then when it comes to Owen Tree Service.
Yes, sir.
Which was mentioned here.
Mhm.
I've had constituents mention that they thought that trees were being taken down willy-nilly. And I wanted to give you a chance to refute that.
I will refute that. See, there's 3 contracts for the trees. You have the trimming, this is the one you spoke of earlier, those are at the resident's request. Then we have section trimming, that's done by Owen, they have the contract for that, and they'll go in and trim the whole section. And then Owen has the contract as well for tree removal. People call in, the foreman go inspect the tree, and our foreman mark it for removal. And then Owen goes and takes it down. Owen does not make the judgment whether the tree comes down.
Okay, so if someone calls and asks for it to have a tree taken down, and you inspect it, and you see that maybe something needs to come off like surgically and not the whole tree taken down, do you make that call?
Yes, sir, all the time.
Okay, excellent. I just thank you so much for discussing that with me. I appreciate it.
Anything else, council?
Any other discussion?
I yield.
All good?
Hearing none?
Thank you.
We will call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Rogan C is yes. Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is 14A, consideration and adoption of resolutions approving the appropriation of American Rescue Plan Act ARPA funding. So moved.
Support Lafferty.
Discussion. Mr. Fox, perhaps you could just give us a brief.
Good evening again, Richard Fox, City Controller. So what we're doing with this resolution is all the funds have to be committed, the ARPA funds have to be committed by December 31st of this year. So what we've done is we've met with the Guidehouse, who is our consultant for the ARPA funds, and they've went through and as part of your resolution, they actually have expenditure categories that are applicable to the ARPA funding. And so each of them, such as the 10,000 for police and fire, is a category 6.1 provision for government services. And then as you go through the resolution, each of the items have their certain category that is approved by the ARPA regulations. So this will commit all the funds. We have contracts with the various departments that the funding's going to, that they have to meet the various requirements, spend the money. We have 2 years after December 31st of 24 to complete the spending of these projects. So each of those agreements have the specificity of making sure those are completed. And then if there were any other, if there is any leftover funding, a project comes in less than what we anticipated, then any of these projects that we approved are eligible for a reallocation of those funds so that the goal is not to lose any money and to use every dime of it.
Thank you. Any additional discussion?
Yes, please.
Mr. Noonan?
So, Director Fox, the money, for instance, for police salaries,
Yep.
that isn't expected to increase the amount of money that we're spending on our police service, but to make sure that the funds get used and that would increase the general fund by about that much? Is that true?
That is correct.
Okay, thanks. I yield.
Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Mr. Boyke?
Mr. Fox, just to follow up, just so that I understand it. The first resolution is to commit to previously unallocated funds in an amount of $7,750,000 to eligible projects. During the budget board, did we allocate that to a specific project?
Yeah, so
Just
originally.
explain, why it's going
Right,
through this.
so originally, we had designated, off the top of my head, I think it was like 14 million to water and sewer projects for Mound Road. Through that process, the county handled that project, and the estimate that they gave us was high. They were able to do, instead of doing actual removal of water mains and putting new ones in, they were able to do lining of those water and sewer lines or water lines, which reduced the cost. So we ended up having in excess of $5 million that wasn't spent on Mound Road that we are now reallocating.
Okay, so if we go along with this, you're telling me that the money, the $5 million that we put towards the home repairs, roofs and stuff like that, earmarked that's not gonna be touched?
That's correct.
That's correct? Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any additional discussion? Hearing none, I will call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan?
Yes.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Rogan C. is a yes. Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is 14B, request to amend the fiscal year 2025 DDA capital purchases for projects committed to in fiscal year 2024 but not completed by June 30th, 2024, and allow additional allocations for a total amendment in the amount of $10,027,919, consideration and adoption of a resolution. So moved with discussion.
Support Lafferty.
Discussion, Ms. Moore.
Thank you. So if I understand this, Mr. Fox, the additional, some things we're bringing forward, some things we're adding. So it's a little complicated. So originally, so I see there's 4 million for ADA compliance.
Correct.
And we budgeted 3,200,000. So did we had an additional appropriation of 800,000 somewhere along the way?
You want to handle it? Go ahead.
There was an appropriation in 2023 that was rolled forward into 2024, and that's what brought that up to the $4 million.
Okay, so we're really appropriating then, okay, then okay, I
The
understand.
2023 was already reappropriated into 2024.
Okay.
And this is what's left of the combination.
That's why I told you it's hard for me to follow
Yeah.
some of these things, and especially if I don't go back and do research in our records to see the appropriation. Okay, Eckstein Park, that's a new one. That's a new amendment request.
No, that's the skate park.
Right, but it's,
So
okay.
that was budgeted, and we're just reappropriating.
Right, okay. Fountain was $1 million, we're down at 880. The city roof, 350. The fire department pickup trucks, those are reappropriation as
Yep.
well as the concrete.
Yes.
That's new. Okay. Do you know what the atrium decorations are? That doesn't sound like anything this council would ever
I'm
approve.
assuming it's Christmas decorations and those type of things.
Well, we have Christmas decorations as separate.
I don't,
Those
No,
were
decorations
approved
wouldn't be
in the 2020, there was
Right.
an item in 2024, but
nothing's.
Right, I saw it, but I can't remember, and I don't have a note.
I don't recall the specifics either.
No, that's LEDs. We've got those. That's a separate item, the lights.
We're brainstorming up here.
Yeah, so, okay, and then, so I see 45,000 for City Hall heating and cooling. I don't see that anywhere in any of the budgets, unless it's in a year before. But I don't see it in, I only went back to 24 and 25, but I don't see that anywhere.
I know it was in the budget, but
Maybe it's in 2023, because I have
I think
the
it
printouts.
was 2023,
So maybe it was a
and it
bring.
just didn't get spent, and it's just being rolled forward.
Okay, so then there's a line item, I don't want to pick on the mayor, but there's mayor's office furniture, that was not in any budget anywhere that I could find, unless it was 2023.
no, it was not.
It was not.
But I see 11,272 was spent, and there's not even a line item for it. The parking garage, so that's a negative. And I understand what you said about, this is a line item budget, and I believe you're interpreting it different than we are, certainly. And there have been some purchases made in line item, well, certain items, there wasn't even a line item for it. And if you want to spend something from one line item to the other, I see that you save money in one and you spend it in another, but I don't see it that way, and the court certainly didn't see it that way, that you could just take anything you want and move it around. I mean, I spent one of the worst days of my life, along with you, Rick, one of the worst days of your life.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, yeah, it was bad for you too.
If I can just explain that, so it's like all the items that are requested go to the capital outlay line item. That's one line item. And I know, council, you know, you approve individual items that we're listing here. When the budget gets put together, the line item is capital outlay. So when we say that we saved up $150,000 in carpeting, and there was another line item for furniture that was $10,000, and we spent, it came in, the estimate came in higher than $10,000. We're saying it's one line item. We don't need a transfer because there was an item, even though it was smaller, listed, and we saved money in another one. So we didn't buy anything different. It just, the estimate was less than it was. So the line item is capital outlay. The other ones are like the detail that makes up that line item. And I mean, if the council's gonna say that they want every individual
We do.
line item.
We
then
absolutely do from the DDA,
next year,
because
then-
we have seen things done there that we didn't like over the years. So absolutely, we want to know. If we put in 500,000 for a new roof, and you decide not to do the roof, and you put $500,000 in furniture, yeah, we want to know about that, and we want to weigh in on that. I think that's why we zero out certain things, because we've been concerned about those things happening. And the comment was made that, oh, we sent over something earlier in the year that was approved, that one of us, I'm not an accountant, I don't know anybody up here that is, or a CPA, you know, maybe I'm just not smart enough to look at every single thing you send over and know when things are not being done right. But, you know, maybe we need to have an accountant in the council office, I don't know. But we have to be able to rely on what's sent over to us, that what we approve is what's being done. And maybe we're just not communicating well enough, but that's a lot of money that comes out of the DDA. It is. And I think that when we say an item, if we say no to something, the way you talk, the way you explain it, you could just go and do it anyway.
Well, again, it has to be an item that the
Right,
council
but if you, say if you have capital, you say it's one line item, and you decide you want to put in that golf simulator that we took out every year.
No, we wouldn't allow that because it wasn't in the budget. It wasn't.
Well, neither was the mayor's office furniture in the budget.
It was specifically. And that one item.
So we have to
went through
specifically
it.
deny it maybe I'm not understanding, and I'm not trying to pick a fight with either of you.
No, I understand that, but the mayor's item was something we missed. It wasn't in, and it got purchased. we admit that.
I mean, it's $11,000. It's
Right,
not gonna,
but overall, any item that wasn't in the budget for the DDA that this fiscal year has been brought back to council for approval, like the purchases of the property and a variety of other items that we
So for instance, the atrium furniture, I will tell you that when we met in our groups of 3, we had a lot of conversation about that, and nobody wanted to give a dime for that. And I will tell you that Mr. Noonan wanted it. So we put $10,000 in there, and then we come to find out $100,000 is spent on furniture. So without it coming back to us. So that's concerning to me. So I just think going forward, we need to have an agreement. Let's just at least communicate so that we know what's going on. Because we get questioned about DDA more than any other department except Parks and Rec. But they want more money spent in Parks and Rec, not less. People are very curious, I'll put it that way, about what goes on in the DDA. And so I just think for the sake of transparency, if we can all do our part to be as transparent as possible with things, we all miss things, there's mistakes made, we make mistakes, we made one tonight, we forgot to put something on the agenda. It happens all the time, we do that. But if we could just try to at least do it that way.
we get the message.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Discussion, Mr. Lafferty?
President,
Madam President, thank
after-
you.
Sorry,
After Jonathan?
I saw his glance.
All right.
Then you, Mr. Noonan.
There would never be a budget discussion if I didn't say at least something, but no, I just have a question here, through the chair to Mr. Fox. Good evening. Thank you,
Good
sir.
evening.
Mr. Knapp. The additional funding that you're asking for, because there are actually 3 parts to this. You're asking for the reappropriations, but you're also asking for additional funding for 2 pumpers for the fire department and atrium concrete repairs.
Yep, so if I may.
Please.
We're reallocating them as an expenditure in the general fund and putting them on in the DDA.
Okay, because if I look back to, oh goodness, capital outlays for the obligation bond issue for 2025, we've got a Quint and an engine. The Quint was 1.8 million, and we allocated $1 million for another engine. So this is in addition to,
Correct.
so two pumpers in addition to the Quint and the engine.
That is correct.
Okay. And then, you know, the concrete repair, there's a lot of concrete that needs to be repaired. I'm not going to, I probably won't ever vote against a concrete repair in this city. That makes sense. I echo the same statements, you know, and I was part of that meeting with Mr. Noonan, and, you know, we wanted to limit, I understand spending within one particular line item, but, you know, perhaps, you know, when we set boundaries, that there's maybe a discussion, you know, a memo to council, we would like to do this, here's the justification why. You're not asking for an allocation and appropriation, but you are, you know, giving, you know, a heads up to us, you know, is this, you know, even though you expressed dissent about it, would this be a reasonable expense, you know, considering that there was discussion about it and we didn't approve of it at that time?
Oh,
That
again-
that would be all I'd ask for.
Yep, we get that message.
Understood. Thank you. I don't have any other questions.
Mr. Noonan.
Thank you. So, on the mayor's office furniture, I see it says an expenditure of $11,272, and then encumbrances of $11,272, and then the total balance is a negative $22,544. Am I understanding that actually the furniture is costing $22,544?
That's correct.
So the encumbrances mean that the city owes for the other half of the furniture?
That's correct.
Okay. And, yeah, I would have expected that would have come probably before the council, but that's what we're saying, right? So in the future, we can hope that you're going to let us know when things like that are happening?
Absolutely.
Okay, oh, very good. For all I know, they could have needed 50,000. I hope they didn't short themselves by just, we hope that the city council won't notice this minuscule amount of money going out, because we've got eagle eyes here. These people are really sharp. Thanks.
Thank
I
you.
yield.
Mr. Fox, is there a way for us, I believe at one time we got a breakdown of the ADA improvements. Is it possible to get an update on what's this 4 million?
Absolutely, yeah, I think they've been meeting like every, once a month you guys meet?
Once a month.
Once a month that they meet, so, yeah, we can certainly get an update of where they're at. You know, they've had the engineering company going out and doing an assessment of all the buildings, and so I'm sure that we can get you an update on that.
Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Ms. Moore?
I have a question. Are we still going to do the evidence lab at the police? Do we know? I don't think anything's been done yet.
I know that's actually been budgeted in prior years.
I know.
Originally, it was budgeted at like 100,000, now it's 400,000. So,
I think they postponed it at this point, but
I just wonder if they have I don't know about space or what the is, but, and also, just to touch on the ADA, I believe, as I understood from Mr. Mazzarelli, that they were going to start and do things like in a 3-month batch, and then come to us with an update. I think that got a little bit delayed, but I think that's still his plan, that once they get rolling, they will come and have a committee meeting of the whole with council and update us all on what the progress is and what needs to be done, and that's as I understand it anyway. He'll correct me if I'm wrong tomorrow, I'm sure.
Thank you. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, I will call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
yes.
Mr. Noonan?
Yes.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Rogan C is a yes. Motion carries. Next
you.
item. Thank you, Mr. Fox. Mr. Knapp?
14C, request of an increase in budgeted revenues and appropriations for the police department in the amount of $60,563.68 to account for the receipt of a grant from the Michigan Office of Highway Safety Planning, consideration and adoption of a resolution. So moved.
Support Dwyer.
Discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I will call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan?
Yes.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Rogan C is a yes. Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is 14D, request for an increase in budgeted revenues and appropriations for the 37th District Court in the amount of $44,000 to account for the receipt of a grant from the Michigan Drug Court, consideration and adoption of a resolution. So moved.
Support Lafferty.
Support Boyke. Discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I will call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan is absent at the moment. Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Rogan C is yes. Motion carries. Next item.
14E, request to amend the City of Warren bond ordinance pertaining to Public Utility System Revenue Bond Series 2020. So moved.
Support Lafferty with discussion.
Discussion, Mr. Lafferty.
Thank you. Through the chair to Mr. Fox.
yes,
Good evening, sir.
good evening.
Just a clarification, I don't recall ever having to revise outside of maybe refinancing bonds, but we're taking residual funds for this particular proposal, and we're using them for additional projects. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so no changes to the bond terms, the debt retirement service, anything like that?
No, so I went through our bond counsel, John Axe, and he prepared the resolution, and so we're just taking the existing funds left from, in the bond issue and reallocating them to 2 projects at the treatment plant, and then I believe another one was the street program.
Okay, and our debt retirement service, the schedule that was previously adopted in 2020 for this particular issue?
Will stay the same.
Will stay the same?
Correct.
All right. It's good to see you, Mr. Axe.
Good to be here.
Thank you, sir. I have no other questions.
Any additional discussion? Okay. Hearing and seeing none, I will call the question. Ms. Moore? Yes. Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan noted absent. Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Brogan C is a yes. Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is 14F, consideration and adoption of a resolution to award bid and approve contract for city project WWTP 23003 Main Pumo Station Dry Well Column Repair, ITBW 1329 to Z Contractors, Inc., in the total amount not to exceed $2,072,810, and authorizing the mayor and clerk to execute a contract. So moved.
Support Lafferty.
Discussion, anyone? Hearing and seeing none, I will call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer? Yes. Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan?
Yes.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Brogan C is a yes. Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is 14G, proposed ordinance to amend Chapter 41, Article 2, Section 41-21 relating to connections, permit required, authorization of fee schedule, and Chapter 41, Article 2, Section 41-33 relating to cross connections, inspection, subsequent testing, first reading. So moved.
Support Lafferty.
Discussion. Hearing none, I will call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan?
Yes.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Brogan C is a yes. Motion carries. Next item.
Point of order. Just wanted to validate that we are voting on two resolutions there at the same time. Okay. I just want to make sure of that.
Thank you. Next item.
Next item, audience participation regarding general topics.
Members of the audience who would like to address City Council this evening may do so by filling out an audience form located on the right side of the stage. You have 3 minutes. This is for general items. First up is Lori Harris. After Ms. Harris is Michael Halawadi.
Hi. I still don't think the numbers make sense, especially when either Mr. Noonan or Mr. Boyke asked if the $5 million from ARPA that was set for the housing program, the numbers don't add up. It's a lot more than $27 million. So, I mean, I'm going to have to go home and look at everything, but I don't think it makes sense. And I also would like, I know Mr. Fox already left and Mr. Knapp, but they know that they have not done things. Oh, Mr. Fox knows that Mr. Bomarito has not done things appropriately through the DDA. And there's a very good reason that we need to know what's really going on with the DDA. Because honestly, I don't think they can be trusted yet. I also wanted to commend the council for having a small remembrance at the Veterans Park on Monday. I want to thank you for that. I probably, like me, there are a lot of people that don't even know that that's there in our city. And I think it would be a great thing for the city itself to do something there so that more people know that those that respectful place for our veterans is there. And other than that, I don't really have a whole lot more to say. Thank you. Good night.
Next is Michael Halawadi, and after that is Joel Vanderlinden.
Good evening, Council. I'll just keep this short and sweet today. I just wanted to come up, I've been a little late in saying this. I want to thank the council and the mayor for approving myself to the planning commission. It's been a very interesting time while I'm up there, taking care of city business, and it's been very informative. Also, one other thing, I would like to encourage my citizens to give due respect to the council and mayor when speaking. We may not always agree, believe me, I know, there's times I don't agree with our mayor too, but they are still due our respect. And also, I see you were adopting a new council resolution. I wholeheartedly support that resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Vanderlinden, you're up.
Joel Valen, longtime Warren resident. It bothers me about the DDA spending so much money when they are non-elected officials. Certain things were brought to my attention today. Ms. Moore, Mr. Lafferty, I appreciate you bringing out the stuff about where all this DDA money is going. But if we only approved $10,000 for furniture and we're spending $100,000, where the hell is that $90,000 coming from? Are we taking that from the police? Are we switching line items on that one as well? And why are we short police officers still? It's been a year, and we're still short police officers. And we still got incompetent people running the office. But what I really want to know is why this council so quick to yell at citizens for any snide remarks, comments, or anything else like that, would sit there and take a member of the mayor's team to chastise them in the fashion that they did at the last council meeting, in the private special meeting, the mayor's henchwoman. It's surprising to me that this council was willing to yell at citizens for simply snickering at a comment that the council doesn't have all the information that they should have, and that the mayor and the city attorney's trying to pull a fast one, but nothing's being said about the conduct and the disrespect that this mayor is giving this recall Lori Stone. Thank you.
Next is...
Good evening. This here, I'm holding in my hand. If all of the council members don't know about it, including the lawyer, you guys should know about it. This complaint consists of an event that 5 months, I've been getting a lot of calls from residents, and the residents were saying, I know you're not gonna let them get away with this. It's a total violation, total violation. And I said, you know what? I like to handle things diplomatically. I'm not quick to rush into lawsuits or things of that nature. I'm not quick to do that. Most people that know me will tell you that. But I like to give it time to try to work things out. Meantime, the ACLU that sent you guys over that memo that you spoke of tonight, and the National Action Network, who I work with very closely, we're not gonna walk away from this. We're not gonna walk away from this. We're gonna go heavy on this. And for you guys thinking you're gonna restrict one's comments, I could see if they were threatening and things of that nature, but you guys think you wanna restrict someone's comments. You're not gonna do that. I'm not gonna let it happen. It's not just me, it's for everybody. This is totally wrong, and you all know it. And you're getting this advice from Jeff Schroeder here? This guy isn't giving you all the right advice, but we're gonna see this thing through. If you don't want people calling you names then don't sit up there and eat at the council meetings, and then they call you Greedy McGee. Or don't turn on people, Angela Rogancy, and then they won't call you a turncoat. I mean, come on. This is free speech. Are you serious? Do you really think you're gonna silence me and the rest of the people with these lame council rules and procedures? And I see you, Mindy Moore. I see you sniggling, grinning, or whatever. But it's not gonna work. And I'm not gonna let it get to me. But what we're gonna do, we're gonna fight this thing out. If we have to take it to court, we'll take it to court. I'm ready. Question is, are you ready? Thank you.
Next is Steve Williams. And after Mr. Williams is Edward Ayube.
How you doing? My name is Steve Williams, and I want to bring to the attention of what's going on in the city of Warren. I have a friend lives in Warren, and I cut their grass once a week, and they have a neighbor that live right next door, and my friend is a veteran, and there's another veteran live on the other side of the other neighbor between them two. And they have been putting dog maneuver in my friend's yard between the central air conditioning unit and the wall of the house in the back. So I told him, he said, well, it got to be the neighbor next door. Throw it back. So I get the shovel and throw it back. Finally, my friend gets sick. He stayed 9 months in the hospital, almost died, and he's a veteran. He did a total of 20 years for the government. Got out of the service, became a recruiter. He did 20 years, he almost died. Finally, he come home almost a year later. 3 months later, he had to go back. For another 6 months, he almost died again. Now, the neighbor that's doing all of this, they don't like, they got small property lines, so they want to make it look like they got all of this property. Now, we used to be all friends. We used to go to the car shows together, and he's in his 80s, the guy next door. But it's his daughter that is racist. For the 4 to 5 years that my friend been living there, she never spoke to me, never said hi, hello, or nothing. She won't even look my way if she's outside. She won't come down the sidewalk. She come out of her house, walk down the driveway, walk in the street walking her dog, cross over, walk all the way to 12 Mile, turn around, come back, across the street. When she get just past the house I'm at, then she walk in the street and go right in her house. So I said, this is strange. So I noticed, now doing a property line to go between both houses, she start from the curb. She goes straight up. Now when she get on the side of both houses, then she go all the way back over on her side. So I noticed, I said, damn, that's kind of strange. So one day, I had her dad come out. I said, Nick, show me the property line. See, I'm going by what he said, because me and him supposed to be cool. He said, well, Steve, it's from that telephone pole in the back all the way straight to the drain in the front by the curb.
You're at your 3 minutes, Mr. Williams.
So what now?
You're at your 3 minutes. You're allowed 3 minutes for audience.
Okay, where I'm at right now?
You're at 3, you've exhausted your time.
Well, I'm sorry.
It's okay. So if you have a seat, we'll come get your information and pass it on to the mayor's administration. It sounds like
Okay.
it's a property maintenance dispute. Next is Edward.
Good evening. My name is Edward Obie. I'm a resident of Lathrop Village, business owner in Novi, but a longtime patron of the Warren Racquetball Club, and that's why I'm here. I was made aware a few weeks ago that this club was closing and that it was being purchased by the city. And as a longtime patron, I was surprised. Every time I've been there, it's very busy, but you know, businesses sell. I understand that. But what I was really surprised is that the proposal was that it's becoming a parking lot. If you've ever been there, this is a business that's been there for almost 50 years, has tournaments from people all over the area as well as outside of that, and it's one of the few in the area. I drive from Novi every week to go there, and as I said, 11 years with 8 other regular people and over 40 that come, and that's just one group. So as a business owner, I looked at the potential. Why is this being sold? Just curious. And the potential revenue of this sport, 12 courts that could be currently rented for $32 an hour, which is very low for the industry, has the potential to make $1.6 million in a year if there was effort put into it. So again, very surprised to see that it potentially going to be made into a parking lot, or who knows what's going on with it. I've reached out to multiple people in volleyball, racquetball, paddleball, all kinds of organizations, and there's interest in keeping this, but the question is whether or not there's an option for any interested party to lease this, to buy this, to do something, because there is a shortage of this in our area. And if you've ever been there, this is a very community-oriented. I've sat there for hours listening to family members or players that have brought their family there, that have been coming since their kids were young. I've watched Christmas parties. I have friends that go there, bring their family. And so I just wanted to come here, express that, and I also have numbers that I can share with the council, and I'd be happy to email them. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next is Gerald Hasfatcher.
Good evening. I'm talking about the same topic, Warren Racket and Fitness, and I understand that whoever owns the building can do whatever they want with it. They own it. But I don't think that we are taking into account that if we repurpose it, we are making hundreds, and that's many more than the 280 signatures that we collected, many more hundreds, and giving them nowhere to play. So it's a great place. It's got 12 courts. There's no more open courts in Warren. And it has a little room, 25 by 25 in the middle. Everybody comes out of the rooms and they congregate in there. It truly is a community. So if it's something that we give up right now, it's going to be very expensive to replace it sometime in the future. And it will not only get rid of the athletes that have come there, because many other venues have closed, but the future athletes in Warren won't be able to use it either. So let me see if there's anything else. A list of groups that use it would include General Motors Tech Center, people from General Motors Tech Center, General Dynamics, church groups such as First Church Warren, Park Christian, Grace Christian, and martial arts groups, along with a lot of other patrons, and they play many different sports. You can play pickleball there too, racquetball, handball, badminton, basketball. There's a gym upstairs. So hopefully you can come to some kind of a compromise that the only courts that we have in Warren that are enclosed, and a compromise that they can be they can stay open. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next is Joey Dombrowski.
Good evening, council. First is a comment you guys have all heard me say many times before. I think the first thing you guys should do, pay off the debt and disband the DDA. It is the most despicable waste of taxpayer money, and for some reason the city has everybody convinced that everything the DDA does is free. Absolutely 100% false. The next thing is, I would like to thank those of you who took your time to return my calls in regards to Ryan Road. Some of the responses I got were really lame, but I understand it isn't actually your purview to understand what's going on in the construction business. But when I get, oh, it's a delay, it's a construction delay, they promised us 100% that it would be done by October 31st. This is now the middle of November. This is not something I would normally ever say. I would personally like to see every business north of 10 Mile on Ryan Road file a class action lawsuit against the city of Warren and the construction company. The fact that they went through and tore out all their approaches to their businesses, they should be out of business for that. People literally couldn't get into the businesses. They had two approaches. They ripped them both out at the same time. Anybody who's running a business that doesn't know better than to do that, they have no business doing municipal work. And the fact that somebody from the city allowed that to happen is inexcusable. They should lose their job tomorrow. There's 3 businesses that I know of, 2 of them that I personally went to, I had to park in the street because they had both of their approaches ripped out at the same time. No, there's no other city that would be allowed to happen. And then the last thing I wanted to comment on, all these people with the results of this election have just totally lost their minds. I don't care if you're from this side or if you're from that side. Anybody who can compare the results of the election to September 11th is the most deplorable, despicable person on the planet Earth. That is the worst thing that has ever happened in America. And anybody who can compare the two, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. And as far as I'm concerned, you're the next best thing to a terrorist yourself. Thank you.
Next is Gary Watts.
Good evening. I wasn't going to speak tonight, but thanks to Ms. Moore, the comments about the hiring stuff is very disturbing. So, you know, $10 million from the ARPA funds being filtered over to the general fund that way just kind of bothers me. But what's bigger is 21 police officers short. We were over 25, 9 dispatchers short. Now, this has been going on for a year. Rough cost, we're saving $5 million. That's $15 million now by not being moved over. We're paying general fund taxes for police services, fire services, and other city services. We're paying the millages for the police and the fire. And we're still not hiring. And all this money is doing the same thing that the previous administration did. Throw it in the general fund and let's just get richer. It's not fair to the residents. Not fair to the residents at all. It's getting very old. Another thing is I've been watching advertising for police officers. You're not going to believe this. Our HR department hasn't had any advertising out for over a couple months. A couple of months. Every police department around us is advertising. I don't know what she's doing over there, but it's been a year and we don't have an HR director. Hey, the new president, he's gotten 30 appointments in the last 2 days. Hit the ground running. Piece of cake. Anybody else could have got this done. So that's very irritating. And then, thanks to Joey there, I'd invite everybody to take a look over on Bunnert between 11 and 12 Mile and look at that concrete paving job done by Zuniga. It wasn't smooth. They had to bring in a grinder this year and diamond grind it. Now there's ruts down the road. And I have a video that I caught on my dash cam on my truck of a motorcycle crashing in the rain because of those ruts in the pavement slick. That company, somebody needs to deal with that. I'm hoping Ryan Road isn't something they're doing. But take a look at that mess over there. Anybody wants to see that video, let me know. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Gloria Sanker.
Yippee, we got our country back. Yesterday was Veterans Day, a time of reflection. Soldiers have given generations of service to America to protect our values and principles. The price of sacrifice is heavy. All gave some gave all. Our entitlements have been hijacked by politicians who gave our choices benefits to illegals who crossed the border rather than our homeless vets. We give quality benefits to illegals while our wounded veterans are in crisis. Our veterans didn't fight, lose limbs, and die for woke ideology such as men in women's sports, boys sharing women's dressing rooms, mangling our youth through sex change, and taking God out of our classrooms. Quite simply, woke thinking is making a wrong a right and a right a wrong. This is distorted thinking that makes no common sense. These are not the principles veterans left homes for and got wounded in foreign countries. This is not the American dream, it's the American nightmare, produced by the radicals running our present government. Our American heroes have been forgotten by this government. The Biden administration gave all the perks to the illegals, but all of this is about to change, and veterans will be honored again. No more will veterans be put out of hotels for illegals to take over. No more will illegals get free gift cards of money while our veterans beg in the streets. No more will illegals get free housing, free health care, free education, free transportation to go from state to state on taxpayer money. With the new administration, finally, the veterans will get some well-deserved recognition again, and maybe they will even get a parade down Main Street and a festival in a local park like was given so enthusiastically for the gay community here in Warren. Happy Veterans Day to all the vets.
That is the end of audience. Next item.
Next item is council response to audience. Madam Chair.
Ms. Moore.
Ms. Harris reminded me, it was just yesterday. We did have a small gathering at the All Veterans Memorial at Veterans Park. We've been doing that now for 5 years, I think. I think we missed maybe last year. It's just a small group, and we honor veterans. Mr. Lafferty, once again, sang yesterday. He sang beautifully, as you all know. It was very nice. Mr. Jerry Burden spoke about Flanders Fields. That was a nice touch to our ceremony. And I really want a huge, huge thank you to Greg Palachek. Greg Palachek is a Vietnam War veteran, retired Warren police officer, longtime employee. He served this city for a long time, our country. He has been the caretaker of the All Veterans Memorial for many years, from the beginning, through administrations when it's just been abandoned for the last couple years, but he has been the caretaker. We went there Monday, and there was the wreath that he puts there every year, and flags, although some of them were stolen overnight. We didn't make arrangements the day before to have the electricity turned on. We'll make sure we do that next year, and some of the landscaping wasn't taken care of. It didn't look that great. And the comment was made that the money couldn't be spent because the commission wasn't seated. That's not true. We've put $25,000 for maintenance of the memorial in the budget for 2 years. So there's $50,000 that can be spent on maintenance of the memorial. The seals need to be replaced. There's some other repairs that need to be done at the memorial, and I think it's a shame that we're not maintaining that All Veterans Memorial. Our people deserve better than that. So I'm hoping that we can just get those things done and not wait till the commission gets formed, because heaven knows how long that's going to be. And if anybody does want to be a member of the Veterans Commission, I hope you'll call the mayor's office or go online and apply. I hope they reach out to Mr. Palachek and have him involved, because he certainly has the knowledge, the history of the whole memorial and how to take care of it, and the things have been done. Also, we have another opening on the ZBA. Someone notified us over the weekend they would be resigning. So if anybody's interested in the ZBA, please go online and apply, or call the council office, and someone there will be happy to help you. The number of the council office is 586-258-2060. If you're interested, please apply, and thank you.
Any additional council response?
Madam Chair.
Mr. Dwyer.
Yeah, just going back to the police hiring that we discussed earlier. I mean, HR really needs to start doing their job. I mean, the only advertising they are doing right now is through MCOs. And as we talked about earlier, we're down 21 officers. We're soon to be down another 3 officers through retirement. And again, all they're doing is advertising through MCOs. Yeah, everybody else is going through social media, they're going through Facebook, reaching out to the 3 academies, Schoolcraft, Oakland, Macomb, trying to get recruits. You know, we don't go out to job fairs. We don't even reach out to the print media. We just go that one avenue, and going that route, we're never gonna get these positions filled. So, again, they need to do their job and step up their game. Thank you.
Any additional response?
Yes, just to follow up on that. It's been over a month since we overrode the veto, the mayor's veto, about the resolution to revert hiring back to the police department. I have not heard any response from the administration. I don't know if any other council member has. It would be nice to get a response, and maybe we wouldn't have to be talking about it, but there's no cooperation between the council and administration as far as police hiring. And we may sooner or later have to pass an ordinance and take it out of the hands. I mean, our hands are gonna be tied. I'm not gonna stop arguing about hiring police officers. Taxpayers deserve better. The police officers deserve better that are working, and also the residents before someone gets hurt. And I won't stop inquiring about it. I know our former council person, Gary Watts, is on top of it, and other members of the council are on top of it. So we'll bring you updates as we go along. If they decide to give us any information to pass on. But so far, we haven't got anything. Thank you.
Any additional response?
Madam President.
Mr. Lafferty.
Ms. Moore's comments about the Veterans Day celebration, albeit modest, this is Ms. Moore's event. She is the one that organizes on behalf of the council and has for many years. It is a beautiful event, and that is because of her dedication. So I wanted to make sure that we recognize Ms. Moore for her efforts every single year to honor the people. As one audience member said, some gave all gave some, or the other way around. And it was a beautiful tribute to the veterans, especially the ones that were there, and honored to be a part of it every single year. So thank you, Ms. Moore.
Any additional response?
Madam Chair.
Ms. Moore.
If I could just say one personal thing. this week I told one of our residents, I thanked him for his service, and his reply to me was, "You were worth it." I don't think I've ever had anything nicer said to me, and I certainly appreciate that, and I appreciate your service. Thank you.
Next item.
Motion to adjourn.
Support, anyone?
Support
Ms.
Dwyer.
Ms. McGee, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.